Hey guys, welcome to this Microsoft 2016 Excel basic tutorial. I'm going to go over some basic terminology and vocabulary that you would need to know to be able to use Microsoft Excel. I'm going to be going from the top to the bottom and left to right. So starting off here, you will see that there's a ribbon type thing called a quick access toolbar. And in this toolbar, you can click on this down arrow and you can add additional options to choose from by clicking more commands, and you can get into the quick access toolbar and go ahead and scroll down and see what options you want to use to access quickly, and you can go ahead and add it. So if we want to do insert table, you can click on insert table and add it here and then click OK. And you will see that it added it to your quick access toolbar so that you don't have to go searching for it. You just easily click on it and it will give you the table option. And in this row, these are called tabs. So there's the File tab, Home tab, Insert tab, Page Layout tab, all the way across. And in each of these tabs, you have a ribbon. So this is the ribbon for the Home tab, the Insert tab, and the Page Layout tab ribbon. And in each of these ribbons, you will have groups. So you see the divider, there's a theme group, there's another divider, there's the page setup group, and then scale to fit group, sheet options, and so forth and so on. So each tab will have different groups in the ribbon. And some of the ribbons and groups have a thing called, that I would like to call, a callout box. So right here on the very bottom right hand corner, there's a little option like an arrow box. You can click on it and it will give you more options to choose from the page setup group, because there's only a limited amount of space that Microsoft had when they were putting this information in. They couldn't put all the options in this little area, so they had to create a callout box so that they can give us more options to choose from. So you can see here in the page setup group, there's different pages different tabs that you can choose from: page, margins, header, footer, and sheet. And you can use, let's say the formulas doesn't have any. The insert looks like there's only charts, so you can click on this charts, and you can have all charts, and you can do whatever you need with all that. And under the Home tab, you can click on this arrow again, the callout box, and it gives you more options to choose from. And going down right here, this is called the name box. So every cell in Excel has a name. So this right here is called A6. This cell is called B6. And this one is called B3. And a cell is basically the intersection of a column and the row. So this would be a B3, and that's one cell. And besides having clicked on one cell, you can also click multiple cells, in which case it would be called a range. So in this case, I've clicked from B3 through C5. Or a range can be this, or it can be this, or it could be this. So any cells that are grouped together would be a range of cells. And it's very important to know the cells and the range of cells, because when you're dealing with a spreadsheet and you need to make some calculations using formulas, you would need to know the names of the cells that you will be adding the formulas to make a calculation. So this name box is very important. And going to the right, there's an insert function button here. This allows you to insert a formula. And this right here is the formula bar. So in here, it tells you what's inside of this cell. So in this cell, in B8, this shows you that there's the word scholarship in here. Or in this cell, there's endowment typed in here. And going right down, there's different sheets. So there's sheet 1, and then if you want to add another sheet, you click on this plus button, and you can add sheet 2, sheet 3, so forth and so on. And to remove the sheet, click on it, and then do right click and click delete. Again, right click, delete, and it removes the sheet, and we're back to sheet 1 again. And going down to the right, this is a scroll bar. You can scroll to the right and scroll to the left. And this is the zoom bar where you can zoom in and zoom out. So I hope this is clear enough for you to see. I hope it's large enough. And I will go ahead and start to give you some more information on what we can do with this spreadsheet here. And another thing I want to talk about also is that this right here is called a workbook. I've titled this Contributions To. And in this workbook, there are different sheets, spreadsheets. So in the spreadsheet, you can have multiple spreadsheets, and the spreadsheets make up a workbook. And in this worksheet, if I go control arrow key down, you will notice that there are 1,048,576 rows, and there are XFD columns. So the columns, if you go scroll to the right, you will see goes all the way to A through Z, and then it goes AA, AB, AC, and then BA, BB, BC, and it goes all the way to XFD. So that's a lot of columns and a lot of rows in just one spreadsheet. If you ever need to use that amount, and if you've ever used that kind of data in one spreadsheet, please let me know. I really would like to know what kind of spreadsheet and what kind of information you keep. So moving right along, I want to also try to replicate this information here so we can go through this and find out how we can make this information to be here. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Graphic Design Institute, and then I'm going to type in here contributions, and then I'm going to type here contributor, and all I'm doing is typing the word or the words and hitting enter to make it go down. And now what I'm going to do is, instead of hitting enter to go down, I'm going to hit the tab key for it to go to the right. And now I'm going to type in fund, tab, amount, and then enter. Now you will notice that if you look up here on column or cell E1, you will see that the information has spilled over to F and a little bit of column G. But in actuality, this shows that the information is only in column E and cell 1 or E1. So Graphic Design Institute is only in E1. F1 is empty and G1 is empty. And the same thing over here in contributions. It's all on E2. There's nothing on F2. And I will show you how we're going to fix that. And you'll notice this when I enter tab here. The fund overwrote column E3 so that contributions is cut off. And amount here is fine and fund is fine. So what they did here is they use a feature called merge and center. So the data that they had was under contributor, fund, and amount, and they spread this graphic design so that it will fit all three columns equally, and they merged it and centered it. So what we're going to do is, to make this to be the same thing here, is I'm going to highlight and click E1 and select the range from E1 to G1. And then I'm going to click this here under the Home tab, under Alignment. I'm going to click Merge and Center. And I'm going to do the same thing for contributions because it looks like that's what they did here. So I'm going to click on cell E2 and hold it until you click on G2, let go, and again merge and center. and it's going to do the same thing to this. The contributor, excuse me, what I'm going to do here is what you can do in Excel is if you go to the column between E and F, or any column in between of these two columns, you'll see that your cursor turns into a double arrowed arrow. So it's double arrows. And when you do that, what you can do is you can drag the column width so that it increases the width of your column so that you can adjust it. Now, there's a shortcut to this so that instead of figuring out what the longest information is in that cell or in that column, if you have this large information here, what you can do is you can click on this and double click it, and it will automatically adjust the width of that column to the longest amount of words in that column. And the same thing here, fund. Now it can also go the other way. If it's shorter, then it will shrink it, so it will go less. But I don't think we're going to have that problem with that, because this is going to be longer if we start entering information. And we'll leave amount alone right now. So that's one way of applying this particular merge and center to this cell right here. And I want to show you another trick that you can do to apply this same design, the format, so that you can copy it here. And there's a special option here called Format Painter, again under the Home tab. You click on Format Painter, and you can see that it highlights this cell, which is merged and centered, and it will give you this paintbrush on the cursor. If you see it as a paintbrush, and when you click on the cell that you want to apply that particular format to, and you click that, you will notice that it applied the same format of this cell into this cell. And you'll notice also that now it doesn't fit properly because it is now larger than what we had before. So what we're going to need to do is expand the cell so that it fits. And we're going to do the same thing with contributions. Click on this, click on Format Painter, and apply the same thing over here, and it fits very well right now. And we're going to do the same thing here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all three of these columns, hit Format Painter, and apply it here. And I'm going to increase this a little bit longer. And we're going to try to replicate the same information here. Now to do that, if you didn't have this information to copy from, if you wanted to do it yourself, what you can do is you can make things bold. As you can see, they made it bold. They changed the font color. You can change the font color to anything you want. You can see how the font color is changing depending on whatever color you want. And same thing over here. They made it bold. You can underline it. You can italicize it. So this is the way you can do that. And you can change the font size by increasing it here. Or if you want a specific font size, you can click on whatever font size works for you. We'll just click 12. I don't know if it changed or not, but we can leave it like that. And what I'm going to do is click on cell E4 right here and type in this information here, Adventure Works, and click enter. If you want to do autofill, there's a thing called autofill here. So if you want to copy this Adventure Works, you go to the plus sign, or if you go all the way to the bottom right corner, you see that the cursor turned into a plus sign, and it will just copy Adventure Works all the way down, but we don't need to do that. And then we're going to put here the fund general operating. And then I'm going to double click this so that it fits, and double click on this column so that it goes to the longest information in that cell. And I'm going to put here 5,000. And now you'll notice that here there's a $sign and here there's no $sign. So the format that this spreadsheet used is that they changed this from general. every cell is usually in the general format, which is no specific format. But if you want to add a dollar sign, you can either go to currency and make it like that, or you can turn it into accounting, which is what they had. And you'll notice that they don't have the cents, they only have rounded it up to the dollar amount. And to change this, you can click on this thing here called the decreased decimal or increased decimal. And in our case, we want to decrease the decimal to 0. So we're just going to leave it at 5,000. So we added this information here, we added the amounts, and we know how to adjust the length of the width of each column, and also you can adjust the width of a column, a row, and by doing that you can click on the row and make it larger or thinner depending on your needs. And if you also want to do more things, you can hide a row, or you can change the row height. If you know exactly how much you want the row height to be, you can right click and you do row height, and you can enter in whatever number you want and click OK, and it adjusts the height of the row. You can do the same thing with column, right click. You can do format cells or column width, and you can, again, if you want a specific column width, and you can enter that number and it will adjust it for you. So to make things shorter, to not make this video long, I don't want to go ahead and type all this information in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this information because pretty much it's the same thing that I have here. But this is all already entered in for us. And you will notice here that this has a total contributions here. I will click and delete this formula because there is a formula in here. It's very simple, very basic, but again, it's very powerful to use. One of the things I want to show you is that when you have such a large spreadsheet, you will notice that these 3 rows scroll down so that when you're here, and if you have multiple columns, you might forget what this actually means, what this row is for. Is this the contributor? Is this the fund? You might forget. And if there's more columns, you might get confused. So what you want to do, Excel has a special feature called freeze panes, and that is under the view tab. And if you click on view, and if you want to put your cursor, let's say right over here under A4, and click on freeze panes, you can freeze the panes, which means that you can keep rows and columns visible while the rest of the worksheet scrolls. Or you can just freeze the top row, or just freeze the first column. But in this case, I'm just going to do freeze panes because I want it to freeze right there. So anything above where I clicked will be frozen. So click freeze panes. And now if you see when I scroll down, these first 3 rows will stay frozen. It will not move. So that it allows me to see where I am on this spreadsheet. It lets me see what the column header is telling me. So freeze panes is a very useful button to use if you need to have navigation in a large spreadsheet. It helps you to keep your navigation very well so that you know where you are. And the last thing I want to talk about here is adding a simple formula. So I want to add all these amounts. So there's all amounts. Instead of adding these together by hand or by calculator, Excel is very powerful. It allows you to do it very quickly. So what you can do is, the first thing you have to do for Excel to know that you're writing a formula is to hit the equal sign. So when you hit the equal sign, Excel knows, okay, you're writing a formula. And if you want, you can hit the insert button here, the insert function, and it gives you sum. And there's many different formulas, so we're just going to use sum. And if you don't know what you want to do, you can click here and type in sum, and it gives you whatever options there. There's sum, sum if, sum IFS, sum product. There's many options of sum, but for this purposes right here, we're just going to use sum. You click OK. So now Excel is telling you, what do you want to sum? So for our purposes, this is saying C4 through C32. Remember the range? You highlight a range by adding a colon in between. So C4 to C32 is C4, and if we scroll down, C32, and that's exactly what we need. So we're going to hit OK, and bam, it automatically calculates all of this for you with just that simple thing. Or if you want to do a shortcut, what you can do is you can hit =, and do it, write it yourself. Once you get familiar with Excel better, you can go ahead and click the sum button and open parentheses, and you can highlight the cells that you want to add. So if you want to just add these, you just highlight this and it will add it for you. Or if you want to add all of them again, you can highlight all of this. Or if you want to go ahead and let's say enter a formula, again sum, and then you can hit tab. This is another shortcut to use. So when you type in tab, it automatically tells you, okay, what do you want to do? And you click on the cell, and a shortcut again is you can hit Control Shift arrow key down. So Control Shift arrow key down, and it highlights that entire section automatically for you. So it does C4 to C33, but we don't want C33. I don't know why it did. I don't know why it went to C33. So hit Shift up arrow key, and it will highlight it. And now you will notice that this area has a name for it. It's called amount. And I'm going to show you what this means. So I'm going to hit enter. Remember I was telling you that each cell has a name, and you can also name cells or ranges. So in this cell or in this spreadsheet, there's an area called amount. This amount name highlights whenever you click on it, and it tells you that this range here is called amount. So instead of actually highlighting the range and naming it and saying, okay, sum tab C4 colon through C32 close parentheses, instead of doing it like that, and what you can do is you can just name it a range, and if you know you're going to be using this more than once, all you have to do is just type in amount, and it automatically highlights that area for you, so you don't have to type in the range each time. You just know that it's an amount. You can hit enter without the close parentheses. Excel knows that there's a close parentheses. You hit enter and it does it for you. Okay, I'm going to show you how you can actually change the name of this range here and how they made this to be called amount. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how we do that. You have to go to the Formulas tab, go to the Name Manager on the ribbon, and you can see that you can create a new range. You can edit it or delete it. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click on amount and delete it. It says, are you sure you want to delete it? Yes. And then click close. So now that range is no longer called amount. So you see how it says amount, it doesn't recognize it anymore. So you must put here the range that we spoke about. So you have to go and click on the range that you want to highlight. Control arrow key down, and you just do enter. So now to add the range, what you need to do is highlight it from C4 through C32. You can come here and type in amount, enter. So now when I come back here and do sum and type in amount, it recognizes it again. And if you go to Name Manager, you can click here. You see that the value, it adds up all those values and it refers to sheet 1 from C4 to C32 in this workbook. So that's how you can name a range. You can name this a different range too. You can come here and go to Name Manager and add a new one if you want to do it like that. Or the easiest way that I found to do a name range is just click on wherever you want to name a range, come into the name box, and just name it whatever you want. So you can type this to be contributor. let's say, hit enter. So now when you come here, you click on contributor and it highlights this whole area. Okay, I hope that helped. So this is a basic tutorial. I hope it helps you. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section. And if you like this video, please like it and subscribe. It will really help me to get this channel growing, because I really want to help you guys to learn Excel more, and it will be more beneficial for all of us. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.